Hello my fellow gods and goddesses. I'm Chris with MMOHuts.com and welcome to my SMITE Serqet guide where I will be showing you my own builds, tips, tricks, and preferences when playing the Goddess of Venom. So just as a quick overview, Serqet is an assassin capable of some truly massive burst damage when built with critical chance, and her kit has some pretty insane mobility as well. With her low defenses and health, you'll need to pick your fights carefully, but with great risk can come great rewards. Serqet's abilities are focused on both mobility and high damage. Her passive ability is Catalyst. This makes it so when Serqet auto-attacks an enemy, the poisons on her enemy will be consumed for extra damage. Her first ability is Deathbane. Using it will cause Serqet to dash 3 times in a Z-like formation. Each dash can deal damage and reduces the target's physical protection. A single target can be damaged multiple times with it, and each dash is able to critically hit. Serqet can use this ability to close gaps, clear lanes, and deal damage to enemies. This will apply a poison to her target. Her second ability is Cobra's Kiss. Using it causes Serqet to launch 2 blades forward, dealing damage with both hits and applying Madness. Madness makes Serqet's enemies either walk towards her harmlessly, or makes them attack nearby allies. This will apply a poison to her target. Her third ability is Ambush. Using it causes Serqet to vanish and roots her in place. She can then leap onto enemies and deal damage. Enemies that get close will be able to see her even while she is vanished. Her ultimate ability is Last Breath. Serqet will jump onto an enemy, stun them, and apply a damage over time poison while also preventing them from healing. Once the poison is applied, she will fling the enemy in the direction that she is facing. If the enemy dies while infected with the poison, then the poison will be applied to all nearby enemies. The way I like to play Serqet is as risky and bursty as possible, so I can get rid of enemy carries instantaneously. If you're someone who has great positioning and picks your fights carefully, I'm sure you'll find yourself playing her in a similar fashion. I like to start Serqet in nearly every game type with Bluestone Pendant, Potions of Choice, and Rangda's Mask. In Conquest specifically when jungling with her, I prefer Boomba's Mask for some extra survivability, Bluestone Pendant, 2 health potions, and 2 mana potions. As the matches progress, I finish out my boots as Warrior Tabby, hopefully have started some stacks on my Rangda's Mask if I have it, and start trying to get my Rage. Rage has really started growing on me as an item, and it helps Serqet become more consistently bursty when playing her with my build. Get this item early on so you can start building stacks as soon as possible. The next item I get is Deathbringer. This combined with Rage really starts to get Serqet's damage rolling by making her critical hits more consistent and deal even more damage. Next comes either Jotun's Wrath, Malice, or Titan's Bane, depending on what is needed. Grab Malice for more consistent burst damage, Jotun's if you need the cooldown and a little extra penetration, or Titan's Bane if the enemy is really stacking up some physical defense. I typically find myself grabbing Malice first since I've usually finished Rangda's Mask by now and already have a little physical penetration from its evolved form. After all, these builds are centered around doing as much burst damage as possible, so I shouldn't end up needing much physical penetration to kill enemy carries unless they've bought physical defense. In these builds, Bluestone Pendant ends up getting sold before my Rangda's Mask to make room for more items. My last 2 items end up being whatever I haven't already picked up between Jotun's Wrath, Malice, and Titan's Bane. Rangda's Mask ends up getting sold in the last step to make way for the final tier 3 item. The relics I typically find most useful with this kind of build are Aegis Amulet and Purification Beads, since these help mitigate the riskiness of the build and can get you out of some sticky situations. 2 alternative items you might consider fitting into these builds if you find that you need them are Bloodforge and Hydra's Lament. Get Bloodforge if you need some increased survivability from the lifesteal and shield it gives on kills, or fit in Hydra's Lament if you want some extra cooldown reduction. If you take Hydra's Lament, just make sure to land your auto attacks after your abilities to get the extra damage from its passive. As is the case with many assassins, Serqet is even more so about knowing how to position yourself in a variety of situations. I recommend her for experienced assassin players that have really had a chance to learn how many different gods work. When possible, I recommend trying to sneak up on your enemies to use Cobra's Kiss to initiate your combo, rather than jumping in with Ambush. This means you can save Ambush for later to either chase down and confirm your kill, or to get out if the kill attempt takes a turn for the worse. The typical combo I use for Serqet is Cobra's Kiss to apply Madness, Deathbane to deal damage and apply more poison, then an auto attack to secure the bonus damage from her poisons. At this point, you really have 2 options. If the enemy has started to run away, you can use ambush to catch up to them, and then ult them with last breath. If the enemy is still in front of you, you can ult them with last breath and use ambush to catch back up to them once they start running away. No matter the situation, make sure you use a final auto attack to use up the last poison left on your enemy from last breath. Some general tips I'd give for Serqet are: number 1, remember that she is insanely squishy. She has very little health and defenses, while needing to be close range to deal damage. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Number 2, remember that Deathbane can critically hit on each dash. Hit an enemy with all 3 of your dashes while having some critical chance items, and you'll be pumping out some great burst damage in no time. Number 3, plan ahead and stay alert. Serqet is one of those assassins that you really need an exit strategy for. If you burn all of your movement-based abilities on an enemy to kill them, then you won't have any abilities to get away from a counter gank. Number 4, don't be afraid to die for stacks. Serqet has great snowball potential with Rangda's Mask and Rage. By building both items early in these builds, you'll need to stay aggressive if you want to finish them out and make proper use of them. Number 5, before ulting with last breath, try to plan out where you're going to want to fling the enemy. If they're low, try to fling them into other enemies so they can explode on death and apply Serqet's poison to surrounding foes. If they aren't close enough to die from the poison, try to fling them into a nearby wall so you have a chance to hit them with an auto attack, or fling them back to your team to take care of them for you. That just about sums up everything I wanted to share with you about the Goddess of Venom and Smite. Please note that these are not necessarily the best builds for Serqet. These are simply builds I personally enjoy using and am fairly successful with. Also note that I've been using these builds and strategies towards the end of Season 4. The effectiveness of these builds could change entirely depending on new patches, but for now, I'm really enjoying the risk-reward playstyle of Glass Cannon Serqet.